Greetings and welcome to my autobiography. Right, as you can see, I've had a bit of a torrid time in my life. I've had some good times, I've had some bad times, and as I said, my darkest hour is when I really stopped fishing, and when I came back, then things started getting better. It was, good to see the end of the Humphreys regime, but I won't mention that anymore. That's gone. As I said, it was in way back in 1991 when I first started recording a lot of my matches, because obviously with the advent of the internet, I think it was in 2004 that Facebook was launched, and then 2 years after that, 2006, was Twitter. And as I mentioned before, I like to think that I like to innovate, and I like to be able to be the first, if you like, on certain things. And of course, my angling news website was one of the first, and obviously, setting up Facebook pages. But I tell you what, it's fantastic because this sort of media, you can keep your records, so for future use. I mentioned right at the very beginning, as a youngster, I used to keep a diary, and I do recommend to any angler, young or old really, keep some sort of record of what you're doing, and it will help you sort of in your fishing, because you can reflect back and see what conditions we were like on the day, and perhaps change or stick to the same methods. I could thank Clive Roberts, my old friend, to be honest with you, because he, unlike me, kept a record of all his results right from a childhood, and he's got masses and masses of papers and books of all his records, and I used him. He helped me put my autobiography together, because I forgot a lot of the things that I achieved and what I'd done. So, as I said, it helped me spark my memories, and hence I ended up writing the autobiography. But that was that. As I say, things were only going to get better. It was back in, let me see, when I first started fishing the Y again, back in 2007, 2008, perhaps I started to win a few. I won a back-to-back. I won the Winter League there. Then the following day, match, I won the match at Hendra. In fact, I'll tell you a little bit about that match I drew on the on the Y. I drew a flyer really. It was a peg 102. But before I mention that, because the previous week, a well-known angler, top angler, Dave Harrell, who, as you all know, I introduced him to the Y all those years ago. It's a bit of a regular, sort of haunt for him now. Anyway, 2 weeks previously, he drew the same peg, and he won the match of it. Yeah, I think he, let me see, I think, yeah, he had a 34 pound, 33 pound. So, anyway, I made a remark. I said, "Oh, well done, Dave, winning the match." I said, "But if you fished for bread, you would have you've had more." No, you wouldn't believe. He wouldn't, because I don't think Dave was a bread man, to be honest. Don't get me wrong, he's one of the best anglers in the country, and he does exceptionally well. But anyway, lo and behold, I drew the same peg, and anyway, I opted for my favourite float, bread fishing. Big chunks of bread down the middle, and I think I caught about 12 in the first sort of hour and a half. Using a size 6 hook, baited with bread. The river started to rise a little bit, and anyway, so I popped the maggot feeder out, and I think I'd missed bite on it. That's right. Anyway, so then, as the water was coming up, and it's notorious, the River Wye, for it's like I suppose like a spate river. It rains heavily up in the valleys, it comes down, and the river actually rises as you're fishing. But on this occasion it was rising, and anyway, I switched the maggot and finished off with a few more chub. But as I said, and then I caught that's right, 10 in the last half hour, and I weighed in 45 pound 8 ounces, just to prove that bread could beat the maggot on the River Wye. Uh, but I must say that I fished a Riverfest there last year, and I went out on the bread, um, and I won the match. I had 52 pound, qualified for the Riverfest final. But I'll be honest, I went on the bread, and I think the fish were so small, they're only like about 12 ounces, and I was catching regular, but eliminated all those little bleak and those little dace. So obviously catching 12 ounces is better than catching them. But I didn't have no big chub off it, which it was quite surprising. Yeah, uh, I drew between the bridges, which is a favourite peg there, and anyway, lo and behold, another Salvers angler, Tony Burt, who's fished the Y as long as I have. He went on and he fished a maggot, and he ended up with 120 odd pounds. So, fishing's a funny old game. You just never know. You go the same swim all the time, and or you go back time and time again, and each time it's different. But anyway, I thought I'd just throw that one in. Yeah, so anyway, I had a bit of a winning streak as well. After that, I think the good fortune of winning a Port Talbot, down Port Talbot way. It's like a dock down in South Wales, and I secured another win there. This time on the feeder. So when people say I can't fish the feeder, sometimes I can. And I fished a long tail floating maggots, and I caught 29 pound, beating my old mate Richard Candy. And Mike Teller was third with 23 pound. But the good old days on the old Port Talbot docks. Still fish it even to this day. It's a fantastic venue. In fact, I've perfected a method on there now, fishing a waggler up in the water. Now you can imagine fishing a waggler in sort of 20 foot deep. You've got to keep the bait going in to get the fish to rise off the bottom. And anyway, I've made a video, a vlog. I see if I can perhaps maybe put a link to that at the end of this vlog. Because I say, innovations, I started YouTube vlogging, which was the first for match angling. People are now doing it, which is nice to see other people doing vlogs. And some of the companies have latched onto it, of course, because it's better than television. It's cheaper, and you can advertise on it as well. But of course, with these vlogs, when you see the adverts come up, I'm not allowed to say this because they got these rules, with Google AdSense, because every time an advert runs, all the way through, I get like a penny an advert or whatever. So if you do see an advert, try and read it all the way through if you can. It helps me a little bit. But I did mention this on my Angling Times, on my Angling News website. 10 years ago when I first started doing it, and unfortunately I got blocked from Google, didn't get no payments because you're not allowed to tell people to click on the link. So anyway, that's up to you. Yeah, so anyway, as I said, over the last few years it's been quite good. I've been winning a few matches. I think I've qualified for the Riverfest final 4 out of 5 times I've entered it, so that's been good. I will talk about my matches, as I say, in depth a bit more in another vlog. But really, what I'd like to do is obviously just to finish off my autobiography, and to be able to show people my ups and downs and reminisce a little bit. As I say, there's one match I will just mention, was the veterans match. I like fishing the veterans match on Evesham, although Evesham and the Welsh Haven holds bittersweet memories for me. I still go back and I still fish it on a regular basis. The veterans match, as I said, that's a good match to fish. And I meet up with old Tommy. That's not Tommy. I haven't seen Tommy. I meant Dennis White. I meet up with him every year. I always say hello to him. We always have a drink. In fact, I put a picture of me and Dennis together. Was it last year or year before? When we sort of catching up. Yeah, good old days. It's nice to have memories, isn't it, with fishing? That's what it's all about at the end of the day. And fishing is a fun sport. It's meant to be fun. You take your losses and you take your gains, of course. All I can say is You know, I probably had more highs than lows. And when you get lows, they feel like as if the world's collapsed around you. Anyway, yeah. Anyway, just a couple of a couple of other memorable matches, I suppose, over the last few years. As I say, you know, I might be old, but I still got it. I remember, going just before Hendra Lake was basically taken off us. I remember using that favourite hemp blasting of mine I mentioned about, and anyway, I ended up with a good weight, 134 pound of bream, right, which is an exceptional weight on the waggler, and I had caught most of them in the first half of the match, and they obviously disappeared, and that was it. But that was a great match, that was. Also fishing my old River Taff in Cardiff, where I learned as a boy. You know, as I say, being in awe of some of the best match anglers on the day. You know, I can also boast now of beating an old member's record. Tony James, I don't know if you remember back in an earlier vlog when he held the record, but I actually I drew the same peg that he once held the record. I think he had 44 pound, and I fished it 50 years later and ended up with 50 pound. So just to prove, you know, whether the fishing's got better or whether, you know, I suppose tackle's got better, and you know, everything. I mean, I think angling's obviously a lot better than it ever was years and years ago. But I suppose one of my most favourable, memorable times as well is winning the, you know, the Cardiff Nomads evening series. As I said, the Cardiff Nomads is not the same as it used to be. We've got a lot of new members. In fact, we got almost two teams. We got one that lives over the West Country, over Bristol way, and we got one in South Wales. So when we have teams now these days, we have a different team for the Y, and we have a different team for, say, the Gloucester, and a different team for the Bristol Avon and that. So but it's looking good. The Cardiff Nomads are coming back slowly. You know, we got a few youngsters, but and we're always on the lookout for more. So hopefully the Cardiff Nomads grow from strength to strength again. We haven't got the funds, of course, anymore, but you know, what we have got, we got the I suppose the talent, and we got the knowledge. You know, we're more than happy to, you know, pass on to younger lads. As I say, I probably won the Cardiff Nomad Evening Series more times than anyone else in the history. I won it for a record 6 times in a row, which you know, I'm very proud. Clive Roberts giving me the money after and the prizes. I'll put a photo up after. Yeah, the light keeps changing you. Yeah, so as I say, one noticeable thing I've noticed about fishing the River Wye these days is there's more barbel now than there used to be, and of course feeder tactics come into play a lot. But I still have my successes on the Wye. You know, I even caught some barbel once. Yeah. You know, my favourite, as I said, my favourite River Wye at Belmont. I put together a peg for peg instructions, well, sort of, you know, detailed, if you like, and I put it on my website, Angling News. So if anyone's ever going to the Wye, pop over to the website and you'll see, as I say, a peg for peg detail of each peg. Obviously they change, you know, throughout the year depending on the type of species coming up, but as I say, fantastic. I remember one match, I'm very proud to say that I was probably the first to fish pole to hand on the River Wye at Belmont. I remember winning a match back in the 80s with it, actually, you know, as I said, coming back to fishing. And when I was fishing it, I had a gallery of anglers all behind me, and you know, and I fished 9 meter whip to hand, or pole to hand, and anyway, so I remember winning that match. After that, they all started using the poles and whips to hand. In fact, if you go to Belmont now, most of them, that's where they all fish now. I remember another chap, Denzel Thorpe, ABC Baits. Now, I remember him as a youngster in Ireland. We used to go to island fishing, and Denzel bit of a businessman like. He's I've got to tell you, because I remember we were in Ireland and we were struggling to find worms. And he come up to us, the boys. He said, "Trouble is with you city dwellers, you don't know how to catch worms, how to get worms for fishing." I said, "No, well, show us anyway." Denzel, right? What he done? He got a bowl of washing up liquid, put it in a watering can, went over the lawn with it. And within a few minutes, worms kept popping up everywhere. I couldn't believe it. And anyway, we gathered them, and you got to wash them up quickly, because because I think it must be the soap or something, or the detergent must be irritating to the skin, and they come up out of the ground. So you got to wash them quite quickly, otherwise they'll die. But I thought, what a fantastic method. Only Denzel would know stuff like that. But he went on and he built up the ABC bait business. It's quite a big business now, and he sponsors a lot of matches on the way. So yeah, ABC Worms and Baits. Yeah, anyway, I got to tell you, in 2016 I decided to revisit my old haunting grounds of Northern Ireland. So after 25 years, you know, since I fished the Enniskillen festivals, I realised that you know, it had a rejuvenation, if you like, because there was over 200 anglers booked in 2016. I thought, oh, that's just like the old days. However, when I got there, I realised you can't turn the clock back. It's nothing like it used to be, you know. In them days, we used to be able to go to the pubs after, and all the anglers would be there. We'd all have a drink. They'd be dancing with the Irish jigs, and you know. But there was none of that this time. But I was very grateful indeed. I met up with my old boyhood hero and my friend for many years, Kevin Ashurst. Yeah, reminiscing about days gone by and feeling sad that such a great angler, who's now got health problems, but yet he's admired by all his fellow anglers still, you know. I think if there's a poll put up, I think he would come out on top. I'll put a picture of me and Kevin on the back anyway, so you can, on the end. Yes, as I mentioned, you know, it was in 2016 I decided, with innovations in mind again. I used to do a weekly blogging, you know, writing about my fishing exploits, you know, for my website. But then I thought, no, I'll upgrade it to filming. So what I do now, I match fish, and I, you know, record my matches live, as it's so to speak. And they call it vlogging, you know, with a V, vlogging. And as I said, my reports are filmed live, and you know, I upload them later onto YouTube. And as I said, I believe in it's a new innovation, and you know, it's getting stronger and stronger. Anyway, I want to conclude really with my autobiography, because there's quite a few more pages that I could read. I'll go through, but I'll put them onto another vlog, and I'll call it my experience, my match fishing experience. So I'll think of a word anyway. So look out for that and come back. But you know, in conclusion, you know, writing my autobiography has been an emotional journey, and especially putting it on YouTube, because it brings back lots of bad memories, lots of good memories. You know, perhaps, as I said, not remembering every single detail, but I'd like to thank, as I said, one of my old friends, Clive Roberts, who not only inspired me to take fishing back up in my twilight years, but also fortunate, you know, is something I promised I would do many years ago, and that is to keep a diary of my fishing results. And thankfully, because of social media these days, we can do that, you know. Do you know what? I can still remember Kevin Asher saying to me, the worst part of getting old is when your eyes diminish. How true that statement was. As I said, back in 1994, last time, you know, Kevin ever fished the World Championships in Nottingham. You know, as I said, I believe it may have been Kevin's last words to me before meeting up with him again, but as I say, in my opinion, the greatest match angler England have ever produced. And these days, as I said, I even have to use glasses myself now to go fishing. I'll be knackered without them. But anyway, But now that I've retired and I'm enjoying my fishing, I still get the buzz from match fishing, and trying to compete with the younger generation, it's a new challenge for me. Still keeping my ground bait manufacturing going, and also it's quite pleasing making handmade floats as well, especially, you know, the type which you can't normally buy in the shops. So I'll leave a link to those websites, so if you want to, you know, come and have a look. I also do a bit of coaching as well. I coach other anglers. It's a bit of a passion of mine. I enjoy, you know, giving back to fishing. I like teaching people. You know, I don't charge a lot, but if you want to go and come over and have a look at my website, it's www.fishing-coach.co.uk. Anyway, so I got loads of testimonials where I've taken people and they've enjoyed themselves. So as I say, I like to teach people. You know. Yeah, so anyway, as I said, concluding now, thanks for everybody for watching, and all my followers and friends and people who've made the effort to make a comment. You know, as I say, I will try and reply if you ask questions, or, you know, make any comments. As I say, I'm filming from Thailand at the moment. That's my sort of semi-retirement place. Yeah, and you know, it's a bit hot, a bit warm. The fishing's fantastic over here, you know. And the good thing, I've come to Thailand and I've bumped into loads of former anglers and match fishermen. Billy Makin, he's got a pub just down in Pattaya. I've gone to see him a couple of times. And I tell you what I've been doing, the suns keep going in and out, that's why the colours are changing here. But basically, the fishing is different than back home. It's big fish. A lot of them got teeth. A lot of them got, you know, spikes on them. But as long as you're careful, you're okay with a lot of them. As I say, I think what I'll do, I'll put a little memorabilia sort of a collage together over the years, and perhaps I'll put that on a single vlog, you know, just for old time memories. But as I said, thinking back, all the years gone by and all the goals and ambitions I had, you know, I set myself and I've achieved, you know, I've achieved them, and I count myself very lucky, you know. Even though I'd lost everything, you know, all my personal possessions and my, you know, but my memories, they never lose, you know. They'll always be there. Memories are priceless. You know, if I had my time again, I would almost certainly not change anything, and possibly still do all those wonderful things again. Even though I've met some bad people along the way, I can honestly say that most anglers are genuinely honest, good and friendly people. And I've been privileged to meet many on the river banks and on lakes here and UK and abroad. And you know what, remembering back all them years ago, catching that little eel on a hand line all those years ago, that bloody eel got a lot to answer to. It got me hooked for life. Oh yes, I forgot to tell you, as I said, I've semi-retired in Thailand, met a beautiful lady, recently just got married. We've got a lovely little baby, and things can't be much better for me. You know, okay, I'm retired, I've got the money that I should have had, but hey, I'm enjoying my retirement, my twilight years. So as I said, there's some dark clouds, there's always a silver lining. All I can say is PMA, positive mental attitude. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll see you on the bank one day.